In this tutorial, we're going to go over the basic parts to playing a game of Hexery. Start the game by pressing the begin button. Each player will draw 7 cards as their opening hand, and at the beginning of your turn you will draw one more card, giving you a total of 8. You can hover over each card to see what was drawn, and choose a card in your hand to become a resource. Any card in your hand can become a resource. Simply just click on it, choose from the action menu to create a resource. Then the card will come into play into your resource zone. When you've performed all the actions you can at this time, simply press the OK button. Now it's my opponent's turn. He'll lay one resource, cast one creature hex, and at this time I have a chance to respond to my opponent's hex. I have no response, so I'll just push OK. It is my turn again. I'll draw one card at the beginning of my turn, put one card in my hand into play as a resource. At this point I can click and choose from the action menu to exhaust each resource to gain mana, which is stored over here, and the mana is then used to cast the creature hexes that are in my hand. This one costs 2 and I have 2 green. Simply click it, and from the action menu click on cast this hex. The hex moves over into this area, allowing my opponent a chance to respond to it. He chose not to do anything. Creature comes into play. Once I'm done with my actions, I can then push the end of turn button to quickly end my turn, instead of having to push the OK button several times. At this point, my opponent has created an additional resource and is declared an attacker. The turn step indicator has stopped at the defend step, in which time I need to declare defending minions. I will use my only minion to defend. I'll start off by first clicking on him. Then I need to choose the attacking minion I would like him to defend, which is him, and then press the yes button. If at this time you made a mistake, you can simply push the cancel button and redeclare your blockers. Once I'm done, combat damage is assigned to each minion. This minion has an attack score of 1 and did 1 damage to my minion. My minion has an attack score of 2 and did 2 damage to that minion. Since the attacking minion has a defensive 1 with 2 damage on it, it will die this turn. My minion has a defense of 2 with 1 damage and will not die. I'll push the OK button to allow damage to resolve. At this point, my opponent has cast another hex. Simply I'll press OK to allow him to cast it. On my turn, I'm allowed to create another resource. Now at this point, I have 3 resources in play. If I would like to exhaust them all, I can push this button, the pull button, giving me 2 earth mana, 1 water mana, which will allow me to cast this hex, who has a come into play effect, allowing me to gain 2 earth mana upon entering play. And once again, now I have 2 earth mana and 0 water. At this point, if I do not want to use that earth mana, I can click on a resource and undo it. And then I'll simply end my turn. This pretty much covers all the basics. In order to win the game, you need to reduce your opponent's energy to 0, or you can reduce your opponent's draw pile to 0. You will lose the game if your energy is reduced to 0 or your draw pile is reduced to 0. Another quick way of pressing the OK button is by pressing the space bar. At this point in the game, it's asking me to declare my attacking minions. I will attack with this one and this one. Once I'm done declaring them, I will push the OK button. But if at any point you realize you've made a mistake, you can simply click on the minion to bring them back away from attacking. I want them to attack. My opponent chose not to defend, and the 4 damage from each of the 2 minions shows up here on my opponent's avatar, which then will reduce my opponent's energy from 20 down to 16. I can exhaust more mana, casting another minion, and then ending my turn. And there you have it. The basics of playing a game of Hexery.